Today is Shabbat. Saturday, July 12th. That is 2020. And nearing from, 1700, maybe a little later. I took the time yesterday for this word. Very between us, something like we to really embrace other days, which as we've been permanently struggled about, to having a sense and to having a moment for what it is feedback. You found me, I am. I'm published, you know me, you hear me, we do. I love you so much, and we are making a job. I am real. This is real. Suddenly between all of the references I forgot to check about and became so angry for the reference of what I said. Been doing my best in the attempts against my person, never stopped, and not only about my person, but that blessed very no obsession, neither like an obstination. It's like a purpose, it's like a fever, it's like a very disease that won't be stopped and is exactly implacable until to making exactly the blood to be poured, until they taste it and have the blood in the mouth, like the beasts, and saying that they just acquired what they wanted. And this is exactly with United Evangelicals, sorry for victims. This is exactly with Argentinians, sorry for victims, which I am not involved in. This is exactly what Kirchner's is about. This is exactly what them clans and associated is about. This is exactly what Ejército Argentino, Armaggedonist, Fuerzas Armadas Argentinas experts, them families, victims of art. What the reference for what this, them friends, each and everyone just to making the self-attribution like any imperialism, like any hell, which they are part of. Now, the way I said, not the first time, judges done all in order to accept this final conclusion. They were it in my place, without a intruder, without a reproduction of face, saying that were my mother, making a very hysteric, neurotic, troubled condition, and with an extortion in the way, and I had to call around to try to ease the situation and finish the problem. Somehow until they extorted for what this peacemaker is, and part, to be exactly fulfilled at the orders in which no one would ever suffer consequences in bastards to be ripped out, and at the what manners to be for this class of deals, this class of elementing for the truth. Certainly I've been practically my lifetime like that, and you will know. And certainly the reality of my lifetime, even though to be so sordid and so like impossible to buy and nothing to bite. Certainly this is exactly the truth. And, we've been struggled until the reality of justice could be done. I'm sorry for everything. Now, they've been here in the place I'm living in, and they took my 2 computers and another, and previous with medical kidnaps and with a post, and with it the genocides they committed. Also, the whole devices to make up any class of a degeneration over supposed judicial and political cases and military cases, Argentina. So, I avoided, like I said, all legitimate ugly, with a person that were not my mother, and with rights as justice and law, for the reference of they were and they did, erupted in my place to murder my family, which also were not my family in the first ever step toward changing the first, 1976. And the reality for what it was, the exercise toward I've been with strangers, though as much as they were no bad and they were affording to try to make some senses about what life about. And further as any other, with permanent destructions and being hosted around and besieged and chased. So, referring for the whole of the class of denominatorly ways to focalize in what the identity of the whole of the permanent hunting against me and to me. And permanently with intruders at my life and putting me wherever they wanted. They've just taken that family, the first changeling, which were not my family, but they've raised me, have grew through. And the reality for what it was, they've murdered them in a very disgusting way. Though as much I've been avoiding, but it happened. So what they're referring for the disaster, they put it others with a face reproduction like Nazis all of the time have been doing in its no lie, using hopelessness, which is called in Spanish, blestos de sanación, like a blue verse, célula madre. Over the reality for the scared to heal quickly and easy. And forensics Argentina were all involved, except victims naturally. Are part of the same Mason clan memberships. Argentina were practically a membershiping all the time. We know victims apart, innocents apart. Now, the reality for the states became so sordid and so disgusting, like every time, even though they've been, for whatever my activities, trying to invade and taking possession and position, for making the extortion and the struggle for wording, anyone will ever kid in and submit or take whatever they wanted. Like always have been happening in Nazis, showing. School is not Nazis, but Nazis have done. And they start exactly the complete root. Hegemony. And they goes about ancestors, pride. They goes about ancestors, majors. And they goes about ancestors, realities and realizations and wanting very same. Then, forwarding what this class of situations doesn't has nothing to but exactly the same focus over this policy. And this policy that we talk about is exactly the domains and you submit, but at the hour of you submit, you don't get nothing but a breath of a death. And at the hour of this is kill or die. And in the middle of the line, which the number, what the mass and what you typed, you got to think really fine where you're going to kill and how you will fugue. Otherwise, you're dead anyway. All right. The class of sickness like Argentina is, and we're always, in base like we said yesterday, just founded over genocides and poured blood for what they define as science and power and rights to take in life, and making generational changelings over switching out, like in a very normal dynasty for Masons. Imperialism all have done the same. So we're the same class of situations, we have a problem over these days, if they will be whatever this is, and they does. No obstant, the focus is we know and we continue and we work it out and we fight it. So the reality of this is, sorry for, and is part of all and is serious. For just like one unique device, one Acer computer that today is, no lie, 76,000 pesos, and not just put it in a very offer in Musimundo, Buenos Aires Abasto, but teleshop, but telephone, in a very offered over Vortex 7 inches tablet, and this 15.6 inches screen accessibility, Acer 3, Aspire 3, with Intel Core i3, and the right best ever, which amazing computer. 12 payments in a very Nativa Nación MasterCard, credit card. On 1,716 pesos each. 1 year used at the year. Been making what traditionally, naturally have been doing, and further that, still wear my computer legally and with Acer Legals and LIAISON Office and States. They've cut inside to take my material and computer saying and alleging where an stolen computer, like the same old devices of mine to evangelicals, and they will make justice with to prove. And also the whole that I've been working will be imitating armed forces like this video, and imitating evangelicals and robbing the materials, intellectual materials, and my identity to them because of they will be me and not I. And the sickness of them days with Argentina is abominable and doesn't change it. So, at the reference of this, victims and innocents, I'm sorry, you know what I talk about and what we are through. The reference of this where exactly they went out to taking people to making them best sciences over them Sodom and Gomorrah. But what's imperialism always done is exactly them ancestors. They are not going to refuse or shaming them faces or embarrassing them. So at the hour for this discussing membership of the Generosos Abominables, the reality came exactly at the normal as much United Evangelicals are the same like them. Victims and innocents apart is exactly what it is. Christianism birth from Pilatus at the hour of confronting against LIAISON, which bluffly called, okay, at the name of Christ and Jesus, which is exactly offensive Jesus from Sodom and Christ from Sodom itself, at what the hour of saint, holy, Ha'JAI, Son of God, Mashiach from royalty lineage, Master King, Messiah, Melech HaMelechim, King of Kings, LIAISON, God, Son, Yeshua. Then Pilatus, having to sustaining the right hand of Il Caesar, to sustaining for the power to not be missing, and they to could continuing on business and never, no one to ever escape, and they to continue to making what they done. And Pontius Pilatus have done a disaster and went to confronting and to making the opposite for the never losing powers. And like imperialism and hermetic, they are not giving in, and they are implacable, and they make disaster, and they make massacres to sustain. The same Argentina have done permanently, and never stops. So easy and that facing that never have it so peaceful everywhere except for the problems that haven't seen anywhere like, don't you worry. Sorry, victims and innocent. The reality of this essentials is exactly that we know Christianism is masonry and imperialism and part of it, and they've shown it. And are brazen and are disgusting and are mythomaniacally sociopaths and are exactly powers psychopaths. The same Kirchners and the same them forensics. I am the power here, who's going to tell me what gotta be done? And every disgusting freak like that. Especially if there is a, should I say, forgive me the rude and the vulgar, but it's exactly the picture. A patched trouser is exactly what the dignitary Argentina. And you know what I mean about. You know what I say is true. Then, forwarding this class of a sickness, they've taken the reality over Mason, Christianism, for them part of machinery, for them part of never missing powers, what they needed. And they organized for everything of me will be rough. They didn't allow me to do or to be. Because of they will be the magnificent divinity like Nabucodonosor said. With the name of Jehovah. It's right in the Torah, from first to last, these names, over offensive in what they means. And Torah is not the Bible. And doesn't relate except for an approximation. And Torah expresses once you know LIAISON shows for real, and you understand what LIAISON says and where to hearing which LIAISON speaks and understanding is true. Nothing missing, and it's not symbolic. It's reality. Then at the point for this is exactly that they took my devices for the making disasters and abominations, and I've been alright. I had it clean. I've been using it for what we do, and I understand this is a war, but I get angry. And one device is enough for the complete of mine and our suffer, for the whole of the disasters, and now really got really tired. And I forgot this unique device that I'm using now that works for something that we are doing, that I'm doing now, but those much ain't enough. Even though the reality where exactly I'm so tired and I'm so sorry, and I love you all so much. I love you, your majesties. I love you so much, and your honors, and G300, and Justice Parties, and States Parties, and everybody. I'm so sorry, people. The things are not really nice for me at the length of days which this suffers, and further that, and not to languish in you, is exactly that I needed so long and so far this to be so brief and so short and so ended and so over and so far away from me that my days came so dark and so great and so dusted and so ill and so destroyed and so rampage that I didn't want to think about nothing else, and I have moments and days that I cannot really sustain a breath of mine. I beg you please, let's make this at the consideration of the best ever we have and how best ever we can do, and forgive me please, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Kadoish. Forgive me please, I'm so sorry. Alright, basically it's exactly the problems that we have in the coronavirus. They were being infected. They were, like I told you, pouring all over. You understand that I've sent in a very anti-terrorism, perfectly contained and with nothing else but what it used to be the unachievable cars, patrols of Policía de la Ciudad and Federal and others, with a very tank reservoirium inside where the engine for what a little bit boiling in a very temperature, and also with an atomizer to spread out at the path in the streets, like always have been doing, but this time over they focalize as where coronavirus will be found, which is not coronavirus, and they've just launched Hanta. I've eliminated it, but I have a very contamination of particles and all essentials of sickness that they are pouring all over with the best ever powers of the dignitary of them, and I am contaminated and I'm sick of all, and I am not feeling fine, for my days are being dismissing the complete of the weight of the destruction. The destruction is just coming like released. Further that, being with a very weird days, and sent you tests and sent you the complete of the samples with a complete protocolar trond, radiology complete over precision, each and another part, and what it was the contamination, what class of contamination, the register state and day and another about my supposed behaviors. So you come with everything, and everything is clean, and everything is exactly the way we know, clean, except for the nasty sickness then. Alright, toward the realities and toward what this is all about, I will be a fraud and I will be a fake and I will cheat the whole world. And this is world, and they means world, but they means exactly the sickness they are. And continues to make the same what they are. Okay. Basically, the stories are exactly which we know, and historically and historical. What the frick, I'm sorry. I don't know what today wants about what histological we say all the time. Sorry. It's exactly a norm which establishes other references as we understand and we responsibilize about what it means. The right focus at center as much does that need to be, and we need to forward as much as this means us as responsible persons over the self-proper life and over what immediately affects exactly my self-proper life and what it means exactly my responsibility toward. So between the whole of the focuses and the realities which it matters and deservedly is exactly to do at the day of the normal conscience as much to making what it is exactly a relevant as much life, we found responsibilities, and between responsibilities we do what it means. Alright. To the day of the whole best we can do, and to the best of our essentials as much this is compromising our days. We toward any other as what relevances, establishing this is exactly matters to the whole of the normal care preservation, and making the class of protection and making the class of relevance for what it is real and essentially what it deservedly is exactly to care for. And about a care, what it is relevant to making as life, what as responsibilities, and though as much we ahead. The thing is that there is a very ontological idea. And the ontological idea doesn't have a space between us, but we've been suffering that problem. Okay. Will be superlogical, anyway, if you want, or neological. So factables. I'm sorry. For the problem and for the way which this came to be and this happened is exactly known with no breath. And it's exactly none with, none best ever situations to concede at what the possibilities, but we do not concede. We actually know we exist, we are. And so point through and point forth the ways we are not criterializing. We do not criterialize. We are not on criterias, we go to fact. And we go to reality, and reality expresses what exists, each and all, and that's the place of it. So we are going to proceed about making what must be done, we know. And the reality sees the dullness, and the reality sees we have to raise, we have to restore, we have to clearing and cleaning, we have to responsibilize, we have to manners the days, we have to manners the treating ourselves and to treating what matters to be treated. We have to manners the life, we have to manners what it's worthy, what it's exactly treasures, what it's exactly the normal as much values, what it means exactly all of us and what each of us to be. So more than any other, at the day of the disasters and the sickness of this, with the invention of the coronavirus and the sickness which they spread for making the control business upon, I told you and I warned you, you better submit and you better do what we tell you. It's exactly the clear fact of the day of the sick elemental focusing over abominables that doesn't has no remedy, but we don't have to carry that. We have to understanding where the abominable and the fact as much to understanding which everyone is. For wording it doesn't involve what we responsible, what we understanding which the care, what we responsabilized for what it means, life in persons and real standards for authority. At the right focus over this class of a sickness does and gets no point to be at the hour for what we to care about, except for putting them apart. A person with problems, a person with conditions over devastation, ill, troubled, which has a very diverse or different class of essentials as much them situations and those schemas were destroyed, or the person has mistaken, or the person has problems, and naturally whatever the essentials for the orders to be, and if the person unfortunately will ever fall in a prison until and though understanding which the person, but what about this? This is nothing that we have to responsibilize except to keep them far away and never to be around. All right. Essentially, an understanding for what we do, we proceeded and we are forwarding. Though as much I beg you please, the best alert in the way that we naturally routine the day, the way we proceed at the best ever, we embrace our lives, our breathes, the step toward us living days. Beg you please, the way we are working, as best ever I can do, you know I will. As best ever I can keep it, you know I'm gonna work for. And as best ever for healthier and for the safest and for the better, you know I'll effort, not only me. So I beg you please, as best ever we can proceed and as best ever we can do. Supplicate you please, and I promise you that I'm going to keep on working with the respect, the way we said, of JHA'I Elokeinu, Adonenu, Eloheinu. Which the reference of this as much he to tell me the right as much to do, which as my place where I'm going to remain, and I don't need nothing else but my own place, and being the person I am, and being where I love you and about your majesties, to taking decisions with JHA'I about what it's going to be, not for it will be a puppet or someone that will never have a self-decision or a defined reality as a person which matured and which the normal judgment, but actually for respect and for understanding that where that much as I care for and make one to be with the right loving, with the right care. And so that is what we are going to do in a normal living days, in a normal life to do, in a normal way to live. And I promise you I'm going to be about. And love enormously, and I'm sorry for everything. All right. at this day, I still have certain weights of the residuals, weights of what it have been happening permanently, and have been permanently under certain stress and certain glass of tearing around and tearing away. I'm so sorry for everything, and I promise you the best that I can, the best you'll have from me. Okay. Taking a moment about, and you wondered if I could give you some extra. The belly is at the other side that you need what it was and what the complete of the procedures and how we've been working. And about this day, Blanc. About this now. Nella fosse mal che se scello hanno est e nel cielo one more. bombshell. From our shoes stay on. I believe next time no what I feel like shall I tell on your shoe of that time. I know I am for I'm seeing I'm special too. You know what? No, I'm far. Sad, sadly I'm sad. Do you remember the precious Whitney Houston? This special moment over that meeting where we're exactly recalling for our days, where she had been crying out and acclaiming to JHA'I for giving us a stubborn moment for we to proceed and we to reach. And it's exactly what I want to remain her, always embraced by JHA'I and saved ever after to every one of us as well with her. Love you so much.